arc is back in the first issue of the Emperor arc.
You are now watching WhoDooTV.
Welcome to WhoDooTV. I'm Jared.
And I'm Hooser.
And today we're talking about Exo Manowar number 7. As Hooser said, this is the first issue in the Emperor arc. This one is written by Matt Kindt with art by Clayton Crain. It's his first issue.
Right, a totally different change this time. So the last two arcs we had Diego Rodriguez doing the coloring, which kept a huge uniform piece with the first 6 issues. And it's quite a bit different this time because we're getting like the digital art of Clayton Crain. And it is one of the first things you notice when you see this book, when you open it. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, he does. I mean, Clayton Crain does everything. If you've seen anything that he does, I mean, can you call it pencils really? I mean, everything is pretty much digital, and I think it works kind of well for this. It's kind of cool.
Right.
It definitely sets a different tone for this arc.
Right. I like what he did with Rai, right? With New Japan 4001. It was very fitting for being a future book. Now that we're in this space odyssey that we're in with Exo, where Arik is in planet Goran, it is a whole new universe, and it's making the world bigger. It's making that planet look bigger, in my opinion, so far.
Yeah, I totally agree. So we're going to be getting into this book a bit deep. If you haven't read this book yet, you can pause this video and come back to us after, because we will be getting into some spoilers.
Yes, this book has been on the high side of 4s, almost 5s every time that we've had it pretty much. Check our old videos out to get caught up from 1 through 6. We've done that, kept it up, put it on the playlist. So make sure you do that to get going. And then, like we left last time with the general swallowing a sword, and it's back to war.
Yeah, except this war seems to be against an enemy that is kind of attacking from the outside.
These monoliths start bringing so many more of these ships coming in, and they're just killing you, destroying everywhere. And we initially learn that they are upset at the Emperor for going back on a promise. It's pretty much time to go at it, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, we catch up with Arik, and he's gathered his team, and they're pretty much, laying siege against these monoliths. They launch themselves using Azul technology to launch themselves into the ship, as they have before with other issues in their sieges, and they start to just attack. And this is another book full of action, and they're looking for kind of who's the boss here.
Through some, I believe it was Academium spies, right? Helped find out where the leader of this Mono Man were at. Initially, I thought it was a Vine character. He looked like a Vine at first, but they start doing the negotiation, and we get some interesting back and forth from Shanhara and Arik again.
Shanhara is constantly whispering in his ear, and in this issue, he's got a little bit more of the suit, so maybe a little bit more of the influence.
Just those images, once they get into that negotiation of where they're at, was very interesting dialogue of, here's your options, choose these, here's what I'm telling you to choose, and how when he chose to agree with it, when he chose not to.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of, playing KOTOR or, Mass Effect, the options of what to say. But he kind of went off script a little bit, so it was kind of cool. And so after kind of discussing with the Monomen a bit and understanding that the Monomen also kind of got backstabbed a little bit on their deal with the Azul, because they were just there to do a job, and they wanted something from the Emperor, and the Emperor's withholding. Well, kind of sounds like we've got another faction in Arik's back pocket to go against the Emperor.
But it almost seemed like these Monomen wanted to take over the whole planet because they wanted the palace.
Right.
So it may seem like another race coming in to want to own monarchy in Goran, and Goran is just a kill-all battle royale of different races and aliens and death. It's
going to be really interesting. I mean, maybe we'll get another Planet Death, if you will.
True.
Yeah, and it's there's a lot of moving pieces in this, and this book that's what's fun about this book is you get to know the different factions. You get to understand what their wants are and what their desires are and what drives them to have this conflict that they're having right now. Some of them seem more reasonable than others. I personally don't even know if the Monomen want control. I think there's something in the palace that they need, or maybe we'll be surprised by that. I don't know, but what it's all coming down to is the Azul Emperor is the one who's kind of lying to everybody.
Well, and you looked at what happened the previous 3 arcs to get some foreshadowing. It was called Soldier. all the soldiers got killed. Then it was called General, and the General ate a sword at the end of that one. So I think Emperor doesn't look good for you, bro. So yeah, it's what is to come.
Yeah, it's interesting. This book also, I wanted to note, it's kind of there's a narration going on in it. We don't get to see really who's narrating this, but it seems to be telling the history of this moment. Like this was a defining moment for this planet. So really interesting. Sounds like big stuff is coming.
Right. Matt Kindt totally throws us in a different direction with his storytelling strategy here, right? With the way you have this narrator that you don't know who the narrator is. So it did make me, reading it a couple times, go through it, and I'm kind of jumping the gun on how I felt about it. But after reading it twice, I really enjoyed it. It took a second read. At first it was kind of confusing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the placement of the narration was a little bit tough because you'd be talking about one thing, there'd be maybe two narration boxes in one frame, and in the middle of that there is a dialogue bubble that seems to kind of contradict what's being said. To read it in a flow, it kind of broke that up. But if you take each piece as its own, and really see okay, here's the narration, and then kind of go back and look at the dialogue bubbles, it seemed to work a lot better.
Right, it was interesting because there was even one where it starts off a narration in one page, and then you flip a page and does another little one at the very end of the next page, and then it was all within one sentence. So it did play a little weird role in it. But after, like I said, after you got a chance to look at it and kind of got the flow of how it was working, it really told a really good story.
Yeah, I agree. So what'd you think about this? You said you jumped the gun, so let's just get into that. What did you think about this one?
The initial page that threw me off was right after the title page. It looks like it was the plotting of the page looked like it was upside down or sideways, and that threw me for a loop too. I did read this digital format, and I do think this is a book that lends itself better to print. I do think you're going to be able to see a lot of Clayton Crain's art quite a bit better in a print format or a larger tablet.
Yeah.
So that was something that threw me for it, and that kind of probably played with how I was looking for how I was flowing with the dialogue of the book. So it did take, that might have been part of it.
Yeah.
Better place to read. Sometimes it does take read a book a couple times to really get into it. Ultimately, it was a pretty good read.
Yeah, I know exactly which panel you're talking about. I mean, this was on a splash page, which in a digital format they kind of make those a bit smaller just to kind of fit into the width of a regular page. So yeah, this would probably look way cooler, way more awesome on print. I can't wait to get my hands on that. I mean, at time of filming was before it actually comes out in stores, but
right.
So once I get that physical copy, it's going to be awesome, I'm sure.
Right. And the way they do these prestige books with the first page having the print on the cover still wide open, that first page really is going to look really cool when you guys get that in your hands. I think you will enjoy the way it looks. But really, it got me going more to why is he here? What's next for him? And where is this Shanhara Auric story going to keep going, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting, your question of why is he here. It's almost like that question has kind of taken a back seat in this story. We've just accepted he's here on this planet, and I don't know. I mean, we'll probably see why he's there, but I don't know. I guess I'm not as hungry for that information anymore. I'm so excited to see what's going to happen, where he's taking his team, how he's going to do all this. It's just a cool book.
Yeah, the development of the relationship between Shanhara and Auric is still there, to see how that plays out. And then the relationship with Shone kind of keeps getting thrown in there, little bits here, little bits there, and it ends really bad for her at the end of this issue, and kind of leaves Auric at a point where he's kind of upset. You messed with his lady.
Yeah, but she gives him kind of the okay to kind of grab his suit and just go for it, lay waste to these evil folks, these vile people.
Right. And so, but yeah, that's kind of where it leaves off on this one. It kind of gives you that piece where you're getting another piece of Shanhara coming along with Auric each time, right? It's the little pieces, the boots, the gloves, the upper piece, the tiara he had one day. And now it's more of the tech too, of the ultimate decision piece. We didn't get a physical piece on him this time, but we did get some more of the tech that Shanhara brings.
Yeah, it's more and more influence of Shanhara, Shanhara's working its way into him, it's as much as Auric wants to resist it, he really can't. And this story, it's almost like this story is about how Shanhara makes itself more attractive to him.
Like that piece where he starts talking to the Monoman's ship in another language.
Right.
And so is that Arik learning that? Is it Shanhara kind of giving it to him? Where is this going? And I'm pretty sure it's Shanhara giving him the knowledge to learn that language immediately like that.
This goes back to issue, was it 5, in which Shanhara was talking to Arik and saying, how do you think you know these things? How do you think you can speak these languages? It's because I'm helping you. And so, Shanhara recognizes the Monoman ship, recognizes the language, and pretty much just feeds it to him.
Good job setting that up early, Matt, and giving it to us later.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Yeah, the art in this one is really awesome. I think Clayton Crain's use of the digital medium in this is really helpful, especially for this kind of sci-fi look to everything. It looks really cool. He's able to put a lot into all of this. The only problem is sometimes, there's a couple frames in here where I'm a little unsure of exactly what's going on. There's a moment at the end where Arik is actually tackled by an Azurian royal guard, but it's hard to really see that was actually Arik, and it's not until he's out of it that you notice this person that's been tackled was in fact Arik.
Right. A lot of the pages were pretty busy, right?
Yeah.
He fills them with a lot of background, which is good, but some of the stuff can be kind of slid under. I agree with that piece. It was hard to figure out who that was that just had their face put in the ground. You'd hate to think that it would be Arik, but it was. And then there was some, like they said, they were just really busy. Digital format didn't work too much for it. I don't think it lent itself too well to this art. And there were some pieces that ultimately it looked great. It is good. Clayton Crain does a fantastic job. I felt like Arik's team was kind of pushed a little more in the background in this issue. We didn't see them as much. And you don't get really anything from Cat this issue. So, and I'm interested to learn more about those background characters. Maybe eventually get some backstory on them, kind of see their story a little bit. What got the Cadmium Cat to come over and join this Azurian side? What got Bruto to trade on his people? And then the twins, where are they coming from?
Yeah, I agree. I enjoy these characters. They're really cool. I'd like to see more of them. Perhaps at the end of this arc, I'm just going to assume this is going to be the end of the main conflict on this planet. Maybe they'll give some time to really get some characterization in these guys. Yeah. Ever since we got introduced to them, it's been, one campaign after another of just trying to destroy the other side or whatever, and then they finally agree to fight under Arik's banner pretty much. Right. So we'll see what comes out of it. I think what really is tough on this one is the colors. Crain uses a very dark palette. You have to look closely to even see Arik's suit. The yellow, which should be popping out, and the blue on that, which Diego Rodriguez did a really good job at, especially with the other characters, with Win and Cat and Bruto and them. I think that's the reason why they kind of blend into the background, is because they just fit into this kind of limited palette of these darker colors, and then pushed into a blob of darker colored background characters. So right. It's I think that might be, if anything in this one, if there's any shortcoming, I would say maybe the colors would be. Right.
It does take away from the world that was built a little bit the first 6 issues. So it does kind of change the element quite a bit in a way neither good nor bad, but it is darker.
Yes.
You're right, completely. Yeah. What are you going to be giving this book? What are you scoring this book?
Yeah, I think, the story is still awesome. It's still great. And like I said, I do enjoy the art. The art is awesome. I think it's a great choice for this kind of sci-fi setting, especially, it's the first time we see the Monoman. I think what Clayton Crain did with them looks awesome. They're just a cool looking race. I'm going to give this one a 4.5.
4.5?
Yeah, it's a solid book. I think maybe just the colors are what are kind of holding me back from giving that a higher score.
And I'm going to be close to you. I'm going to give this one a 4.25. I thought the writing was great. It was very good. I bet you once I get this in my hard copy, I'm probably going to go up on it because of the darkness of the art. Made it difficult to see. So probably, like I say again, not probably a digital formatted book, even though it's digital art, kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to play really well to a hard copy. But yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.25. And as a whole, each arc can totally change. I do like the way Matt Kindt puts arcs together.
This has been a great story so far. I'm almost bummed that we now have fewer issues promised to us right now than that have come out. You know, I mean, after this one, there's 5 left of the first 12 here. So I'm hoping to hear an announcement soon that we're getting an extension on this, because it's just fun. I love this. I'm glad Arik is back. I mean, it's a tentpole.
Right. I really think this is going to play into Harbinger Wars too. And I do think it's going to lead directly into it. So going much further in this element, I don't see that necessarily being the place by the way the timing comes out for Harbinger Wars 2. But with that being said, who would you like to see Arik bring back to Earth when he comes back?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I think Kat would be awesome.
Right?
She's pretty badass.
Right? And I think having the Bruiser brothers behind him would be pretty cool too. So interesting thought of, but Kat's a good choice.
Yeah. Good question. Hey, if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button below.
There's also that subscribe button down there too. Make sure you punch that. We'd appreciate it. Follow us at Twitter at WhoDooTV, also on Facebook.
Yeah, and we'd like to thank our friends over at OutrightGeekery.com. Be sure to check them out. They got all sorts of nerdy stuff on there.
Links down in the description. Thank you for watching WhoDooTV. We appreciate you guys.